Hey everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my final video from my Viking cruise. It was a 7-night cruise on the Viking Sea, an amazing adventure. If you haven't caught up, go ahead and go back and watch part 1 and part 2. I mean, you don't have to have watched part 1 and part 2, but that will give you some context for what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go into an overall review of what I thought of my 7-night sailing that initiated in Athens and ended in Venice. So I'm going to start the video with going into my day in Venice, which was spectacular. Yeah, let's get into it. Good morning from somewhere just outside of Italy. We are on our way to Venice. We don't actually arrive. It's like 8:15 right now. We don't actually arrive in Venice until noon. So we have the morning, which is good because my excursion isn't over till 8 o'clock tonight. Really pushing myself. I can do this. Just kind of chill out this morning. I already watched the port talk for Venice, which you can watch on your in-room TV, which is great. They always go over every single excursion. They tell you everything you need to know, what the terrain is like, everything from like, you know, be careful that you wear comfortable shoes because there's lots of cobblestones, or this is really safe or this isn't so safe, and all of those guidelines. So I watched that. I'm excited about my excursion, but I'm going to save that for a little while to tell you what I'm doing. And right now, let's go get breakfast. Okay. So this morning it was pretty quiet on the ship and I decided to do a full walk around. And the thing that really struck me, aside from the fact that this really is a small ship compared to other big cruise liners that I've been on, it holds less than 1,000 people. It definitely has a more intimate feel, but as I've mentioned before in this vlog, the fact that it never ever felt crowded, and there are so many small spaces where you can get away with a book. There are also books everywhere. Early on in this journey, I mentioned that the founder of Viking was known for saying that this is a thinking man's cruise, not a drinking man's cruise. And the fact that there are books about every topic everywhere around the ship. A couple of my absolute favorite places to read were the second floor of the Navigator's Lounge. There is an extensive library up here. There are also maps and artifacts. There's a spyglass. And although in the evenings it's pretty busy because that's a gathering spot for cocktails and live entertainment, all the rest of the time during the day, this area is totally available to guests, and I never found more than a handful of people up there. And there are just like cozy blankets on the back of every couch and beautiful views from every window, and the attention to detail. And even like if you wanted to go outside, it might be a little chilly. So they had a bunch of throw blankets folded on a shelf so that you could wrap that around your shoulders to go outside and look at the view. It just has this grown-up, warm, peaceful vibe that is so my personality and so what I'm looking for when I'm on a vacation. I'm off to get on a boat to head to Murano and Burano, but first we're going to take the boat past St. Mark's Square to look at Doge Palace, all of the things. Yeah, okay, let's go. Last excursion. Kind of bittersweet, but at the same time, I'm really excited about this one. So come on.
I got a picture of that.
was a great excursion. I'll talk to you more about it in just a minute. I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna get some water, freshen up a little bit. But yeah, it was really good. I mean, wow, think about where we've been in the last 7 days. Greece, and so Athens, Corfu, Montenegro, 2 stops in Croatia, and now here we are in Venice, Italy. Whew, and it just went by in a blink of an eye. I could have done the traditional Venice excursion, which would have been St. Mark's Square and the Doge Palace and all of the things, and that would have been lovely. I've never been to Venice, but Murano and Burano was just so much more up my alley. I have a, my toxic trait is I tend to book the excursion for destinations that I've never heard of before. I feel like the kind of off the beaten path situations are when you find the quieter moments and more local feeling. It just was lovely. And I had the best pizza I've ever had in my life with a beautiful glass of wine. And it was a perfect day. It was a long day. 6 hours is a very long excursion, but because Venice is 45 minutes to an hour from the cruise port, no matter how you slice it, that's how long your excursions are going to be. In hindsight, what I would probably do next time, if there is a next time that I'm back at Venice, which I hope I am, if I cruise to Venice or if I disembark in Venice, I will stay an additional couple of days. There is a Hilton and a JW Marriott that are right across from actual Venice, from where the Grand Canal is and all of that, but you're a little further away. So now that I understand the lay of the land there, I will definitely be back. I would feel very, very comfortable coming to Venice as a solo traveler, no question. And yeah, it was just a great day. It was a great day. It was a fantastic trip. I get off the ship very early in the morning. Huge thanks to Viking for inviting me. And yeah, whatever. Okay, so looking back at that when I was editing, what a perfect day. Honestly, the weather was perfect. The water was perfect. Do I regret that I did not do, Grand Canal, Doge Palace, St. Mark's Square? A little bit, but all it did was give me kind of a taste of that makes me really, really want to go back to Venice. And so before I get into my review of this cruise in particular, I will say, for me, that's the thing about European cruises in general. They are a taste of. You are not really going to see all of Europe or experience all of Europe or even experience all of one port of call. You're going to have to make some hard choices. You're going to have to choose an excursion. There are only so many hours in the day. But what I find, and this was my second European cruise, third European cruise, and I'm getting ready to go on my fourth European cruise. It really gives you an overview of different places that you can kind of bookmark and be like, I definitely know I want to go back there. Venice was the place for me that probably was the most surprising, in that I realized I really do feel like I could go back there as a solo traveler, stay right there in the area, be able to walk Venice. I've heard from so many people that have actually stayed down there that really at night is when it shines, and I would love to do that. And it is now on my list to hopefully happen. If not in 2025, then definitely in 2026. So before I get into the Q&A, let's talk about kind of a general review and some things that I wish I had done slightly differently. So once again, Viking Ocean exceeded my every expectations. I had already been on this ship once. I did a 10-night cruise on this same ship with my mom. So I was very familiar with the layout of the ship, but even if I hadn't been, as you probably could tell from the pictures, it's a smaller ship. It's very easy to get around. There's really only a couple of different decks you need to worry about as far as, where all of the activities are happening. And it's just a really relaxed, easy environment. You don't have to be stressed about anything. There are always great food options available. And that brings me to the first thing that I wish I had done somewhat differently. Before I left home, and if you watch my packing video, you heard me say this, I had planned on eating in either one of the signature dining restaurants, which would be Manfredi's or the Chef's Table, or at the restaurant, all three of which have a dress code. The dress code for the restaurant is a little less relaxed, but they do ask that you not wear shorts, no jeans, and that you dress appropriately. What I kind of had forgotten or maybe didn't remember was that the World Cafe has a sushi table every night. There is a sushi chef there making fresh sushi. Like seriously, so good. Some of the best I've had since we were in Japan a couple years ago. Really good. There's also a whole seafood station every night. There is usually a salad station. You probably heard me mention the little bit of a hiccup with fresh fruits and vegetables the first couple of days. There are amazing soups. They will also make cooked to order mahi and steak for you. So it really is a great option. And especially after a long day of excursions, you just might not feel like getting dressed up and going into one of the sit-down restaurants where that's going to be, a 2-hour meal. You might just feel like getting something to eat, or even just like grabbing a snack and then maybe walking around and then coming back and kind of eating in courses. There's a lot more flexibility with the dining on Viking Sea than on any of the other cruise ships I've been on. And so I really needed to lean into that more and didn't need to feel like I needed to go to the dining room every single night. So although the restaurants were all excellent, I leaned a lot more into the World Cafe this time, and I really loved it there as well. And it's quick and it's easy, and especially as a solo traveler, it's just a lot more round and approachable, and it was a great option for me. Now, coming to the idea of being a solo traveler, and I have to tell you, I felt completely comfortable. There was a wide range of people on the ship. Sure, there were couples. There were also friend groups. So a lot of women in particular that were sailing with friends. There were also a lot of mother-daughter, father-son, multi-generational groups, a lot of that going on. So it wasn't like a romantic cruise. Like there were people there primarily for the excursions. People were very focused on just having a good vacation. I never felt out of place as a solo traveler. Having said that, you do get a lot of questions. One gentleman in particular who felt the need to say, "What's the matter? Does your husband not like to travel with you?" Which, rude. So that's fine, whatever. We just let that roll off our backs. But by and large, a lot of the times people don't even ask. There was so much else for us to talk about that my travel arrangement was not top of mind for anybody. And I can certainly tell you that the staff made me feel so completely comfortable. They 100% normalized the fact that I was a solo traveler, even more so than on Disney Cruise Line or any other cruise lines that I've sailed with. Although come to think of it, Disney is the only other one that I've sailed solo. No one ever said when I showed up, to be seated in the dining room, "Oh, is it just you?" Everyone was just very like, "Well, of course," and knew my name and they knew I was traveling alone. And I felt taken care of, which is really what you want on vacation, right? No matter how you're traveling. But if you are traveling alone, and generally I get this more from women than from men, but either way, just know that Viking will really make you feel comfortable. I also wanted to speak to the diversity on the ship. I got a couple of DMs from more than one of you saying that you're concerned because you don't see yourself in the Viking brochures. And Viking, if you're watching this, which you may be, you need to work on that because there are a lot of my followers are not the demographic that you see in the brochures. They may not be, I'm sorry, Viking, don't get mad at me for this, but middle-aged white people. There are a lot of travelers that are people of color, that are in the LGBTQ plus community, solo travelers, and Viking's brochures, and I will give them a slight break in that they are based in Norway, and Norway I don't believe has the diversity that, say, the US does, but people want to see themselves in the brochures, and there was some concern about one woman in particular, I am a Black woman. I don't see any Black women in any of the advertising. And I'm actually going to link a YouTube channel down in the description box of a wonderful Black creator who specializes in doing Viking content. And she talks about this specifically, but I will tell you, you do not need to worry about it. There was tons of diversity. There was a wide range of people's family situations and all of the things. And don't feel like you have to be a middle-aged white couple in order to enjoy a Viking cruise. And Viking, you might want to work on your brochure. Just saying. Okay, the last thing that I would do differently is in regards to excursions. And I went ahead and grabbed, every day you actually get a Viking daily, which, can I just say, I know we love that everything is electronic, but there is something about having a paper copy put in the room. I was able every night to kind of circle my excursions, circle anything that was relevant. I miss those days, and I know a lot of cruise lines are getting away from it, but for me, I know why they're getting away from it, but I like having a paper copy, okay? And I will say that there is an app, I think it's called the Viking Navigator app, but it does not have nearly the information that this paper copy has, so don't just rely on the app. Definitely also go over the paper copy, and they will put these in your room every evening when they come to do your turn down service. On excursions, I chose to do mostly paid for excursions and not just the included excursions. But most of the time, the paid for excursions also include the included excursion. So you'll do a walking tour that everyone goes on, and then you'll go off and do your one that is an additional cost. I was thrilled with all of my excursions. Every single experience was good. Every single guide was extremely capable, entertaining, absolutely lovely. What I'm going to say next has nothing to do with the quality of the excursions, but I will say I was sick of being on a bus. There was a lot of bus travel, and that can happen on any cruise ship. But if you're someone like me, like I know if I had traveled with Scott, he would have been about that maybe 2 or 3 days, but I did it every single day. So you have a couple of options if you don't want to be in big group excursions every day. First of all, choose your excursions very well. It will say on the Viking website if it's a small group or a big group. You can also call and ask more questions about that. But the other thing is you can either book a private tour, which you can do through Viking, or you could also do on your own through like Viator or something like that. Or you can just explore on your own when there is a shuttle provided. Most days, and Corfu is a great example as I was reading through these, Viking not only offered an included excursion that would take you to kind of the place of interest for that port of call, but also included a shuttle bus. So like the day we were in Corfu, they had a shuttle bus that was running all day. So you could have easily just taken the shuttle bus into town, explored Corfu on your own. There were plenty of little boats and things that you could have taken advantage of and had a lovely day in Corfu. I mean, it was raining that day, but you see what I'm saying. Really research your ports of call. I did book this cruise rather last minute. Normally I'm better about that, but kind of determine where is the cruise port in relation to where the things are that I want to see. Because many times you might find you don't even need an excursion. I think the best example of this was in Dubrovnik, Croatia. Dubrovnik, Croatia. Forgive me, lots of places I'd never been before, and I'm still trying to cement it in my head. But the walled city, which is where they film Game of Thrones, which is what most people want to see, Viking had a shuttle that went there all day long. So you didn't even really need to book an excursion. Venice, Viking had an included walking tour where it was 4.5 hours, would take you right down into where, St. Mark's Square is and all of the things. And then if you wanted, you could have stayed. We actually docked in Venice that night. There was, you could have gotten transportation back to the port very easily. So don't be afraid. Like one of our guides said, you're not in prison when you're on a Viking cruise ship, but you can do things on your own, just like you would if you were touring Europe independently. Of course, you want to make sure you're back at the ship on time. But for instance, we docked in Athens, and there was the port of Athens is quite far away from, like where the Acropolis and all of that is, but they had a shuttle that was completely free of charge that was available. And we were docked in Athens that night. So there needn't have been any fear about missing the ship because we were going to be there all night. So think about the included excursions. Also think about when there's a shuttle and if it's an area that you could easily navigate on your own. If I had to do it over again, I probably would only have done maybe 3 of the extra excursions, and then the rest of the ones that are extra cost. And then the rest of the time I would have explored on my own, or I would have just gone with the included excursions. I could have saved myself some money, and I actually think it would have cut down on like that group tour bus fatigue. Because I'm telling you, by the last day, I did not want to put that headphone in my ear. I was done with all of that. But is the high price of Viking Cruise Line worth it? It's expensive. There's no getting around it. You can sail a European cruise for much cheaper than you can on Viking. There's no question. There is such a wide range of price. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars of difference between the highest cost cruise that you could do for 7 nights in the Adriatic and the lowest price cruise. So worth it is a very interesting thing, because if all you want to have is a boat that gets you to those ports of call, sure, save thousands of dollars. If, however, you enjoy finer dining, higher quality of everything from room amenities to, the amenities around the ship, to entertainment, to the public areas, to the customer service. The ratio of guest to staff is very low with Viking, and you feel it. You feel like every time you turn around, there is someone there asking if you are in need of anything. So if you enjoy kind of the more luxury elements of a vacation, and you're not just looking for like a ferry to get you from port to port, then you're going to be paying more money. For me, that is a huge part of the experience. So if you ask me if Viking Cruise Line is worth it, I would say first, like I already said, add up what is included. So make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And then second, if luxury vacationing is something that you're into and you want a really warm, smaller ship, because that's a big thing, right? The smaller ships are going to cost you more money. Then yes, I think Viking is 100% worth it. I have paid for Viking with my own money. I have also been hosted as I was on this cruise. I will 100% pay for Viking with my own money again. My next push is to try to get Scott to go on a sailing with me. I am so grateful that they invited me on this cruise, but I love this cruise line. I love their mentality. I love the staff. I love the creativity of it. I love the education piece of it. And I would not hesitate to recommend it to anyone. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. If you did not already subscribe, if you enjoy videos about home organization, travel organization, me being at home with my dogs, all of those kinds of things, I hope you'll join us. Subscribing is free. And if you really want to be part of what's going on, if you want to be in the know on all the behind the scenes, join us over on Patreon, patreon.com/GemLaForge, $7 a month, and we would love to see you there. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining me. Another adventure is coming right up, so make sure you have those notifications on. Bye.